Dupes is with me. We're going to Saskatoon now. We've got the head coach of the Huskies, Scott Flory, with us, and I really appreciate the time, Scott, because I can't imagine what the last 24 hours, let alone the last 90 days, have been like for you. Would you mind taking us through the last 24 hours and the fallout of Canada West's decision to cancel fall sports?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Rod. Hey, Darren, how are you guys doing?
Very well.
Good. Yeah, I know it was, I got the call from our athletic department about an hour before the announcement. So at 10 o'clock, we ended up getting told, finally that it's happening, that the competitive season is ending for 2020. I think no matter how much you think it's going to happen or how prepared you think you are, actually hearing the news is something different. And your heart just sinks for all the student athletes, because everybody's got limited snaps in them, and for those guys to not have that opportunity to compete this year, it's tough, and my heart breaks for them. We end up having a communication out to the guys. I sent a note out to the whole team as we're, kind of on that conference call with the athletic department, and then. And then the announcement came out, and we had a team meeting last night, and it was a good hour to be able to answer questions as best I can, and try to at least have some semblance of normalcy come the fall without competitive games against our opponents.
Scott, if I may, what questions are you getting the most, whether it be from your players, families? Maybe if you could just answer those for us, maybe just shotgun what you're giving people.
Yeah, no, there is still a ton of questions. Just about, we've got 70% of our team is within the province, right? So those other 30% of guys that have home bases outside of Saskatchewan. So the guys from Winnipeg all the way to the West Coast and in Vancouver and Abbotsford, we've got a handful of guys that across Western Canada, and their families are asking, what should we do? It's remote learning. Do we come to campus? What is programming going to look like? Are we going to have practices? Are we going to be able to have scrimmages? What are we going to be able to do? Scholarship, eligibility. The one thing that wasn't addressed, to my knowledge anyways, they talk about eligibility and it doesn't affect, but we've got an age rule in football, and we're the one sport that does have an age cap. So those guys that are backed up against that, the time clock of the age rule, how does it affect them? Because to my knowledge, that hasn't been addressed. And those guys have those questions, academic questions. Do we have to go to school this year to still be eligible to play next year? It's still a lot of unanswered questions there that I'm doing my best to answer. And I know for us, though, Rod, is that from a program standpoint, we are doing, and Husky Athletics is doing everything, and we're committed to our guys. So, obviously I want to see them all here. I want them they're going to have all the services from academic to strength conditioning to coaches being around. And we're going to push as far as we can to do whatever we can from a football side of things. And we're also going to help them financially through the scholarship program and all that kind of stuff. We're pretty lucky that we've got, a great level of support up here to be able to help our student athletes.
Yeah, Scott, I know you got lots going on. I mean, it's crazy, and it's less than 24 hours since the announcement, or a little over 24 hours since the announcement. But how much thought do you give to, and where do you sit on guys playing in the PFC for a year to just play, especially guys in their draft year, if that's something that's been talked about at all?
Well, that's something different. I mean, East-West, right? You talk about that. You talk about the draft. We don't control that. That's the CFL draft. When you look at the CJFL, and they don't know if they're going to proceed either. I don't know. I don't think anything's been confirmed there. But you look at it from two different avenues, right? It's the guys coming in. What do they do? How do we still get meaningful football reps and still be a part of what we're doing in 2021? And then you look at existing guys with your team. Too, is it beneficial? I mean, I don't know if the CJFL is exactly open to an influx of university football players just coming. Our roster, I think we'd have 10, maybe 12, 15 guys that are too old to play. Other than that, all of our guys are eligible and they fit the age category of playing PFC football. So you're right. There is a ton of questions. And then obviously the guys on the back end of it, the fourth and fifth year guys. And that, as I talked about, that age rule. So, it's tough. I think, as I told the guys, we'll evaluate it on a case by case basis and do what's best for the student athlete. knowing that these guys all committed to be here in 2020. So I anticipate, I don't see any change in them not being committed to being here in 2021.
Having said that, did you not say, Darren, you heard BCFC, the BC Conference of Junior Football, is expanding their rosters by 6 spots?
Have
you heard that?
Talk. I can't confirm that it's true, but it's just stuff that's being talked about. That's why I asked the question. I mean, right, if players can't play and they're playing down there, of course it's going to be something that's going to be brought up, right? But yeah, hearing that they're thinking about it, which would make things really interesting because it's not a lot of spots. You mentioned you got a lot of guys who'd be eligible to go play down there.
Yeah, and it's limited games, it's limited roster, it's limited snaps, and nobody knows if they're going to proceed or be able to proceed. I know that for us, the decision, it wasn't mine. I mean, from the CanWest board, right? You've got to evaluate from a school standing and from the scholarships, and there's a whole bunch that goes into it. Maybe there's less restrictions on CJFL. I don't know. They don't have the schooling aspect of it, but there's still a whole lot of that goes into any making a major decision like this, and it's never easy. So I don't envy the people that are having to make these decisions. The hard part is, I guess, for us in managing a team of 90 athletes is they got 90 different questions and sometimes multiple questions, and it's hard when you don't necessarily have the clarity to give concrete answers.
No kid. Well, Scott, one thing I shouldn't be surprised, but incredibly impressed by your demeanor through all of this. That's a leader. I'm impressed by that, by the way. I mean, you're answering the questions as well as you can. Can I just ask an off-the-board question? How are renos going at Griffiths, by the way? Because it was, forced the riders out of there with their training camp. What's happening there?
Yeah, what a seesaw event there. It's, we got approval. And then COVID hits, and it's like, okay, everything's shut down. And then all of a sudden, it's back on the table, and it's going ahead. So, to my knowledge, the shovels are going to be in the ground here come July. I think their site prep and excavation, everything through till September, and then the month of October is going to be the install. So we should have our brand new turf and lights and all that stuff ready to go. And phase one, I guess, of the renovations at Griffiths by the end of October. So, regardless of what our programming looks like in 2020, we're going to have some fresh new turf and lights come March practices in 2021.
Well, that's the amazing thing, by the way. Construction has not stopped. My construction friends are still working. Go figure. But how much different will the facility look like? Is there any more changes to the stands and press box and that kind of thing? Or is it strictly turf and lights and maybe we won't notice a huge to the naked eye?
Yeah, no, this is just happening now. It's a huge commitment. It's over $3.1 million, I think, to upgrade the turf and the lights and everything that goes into it. And that's going to be phase one. To my knowledge, over the years, we're going to have a phase two and a capital campaign that's going to look at upgrading the stands and everything. I mean, you talk about construction, we've got obviously a huge supporter and benefactor in Ron Graham and Graham Construction and everything that they've done for us for our clubhouse and weight room and meeting facilities. But yeah, there will be some further upgrades in the years to come, and it's hard to say coming out of the COVID world, right? What that's exactly and the timelines are going to look like. But I know Griffiths and that turf and that facility is one of the best places to play in Canada, and we're going to make it even better.
Oh, awesome! That's good. I mean, that would be a good way to end it, unless you have any other thoughts or a message to your athletes or potential Huskies coming up. Anything else, Scott?
Yeah, no, it's just tough. I think that all of us as coaches, I mean, across country, across Western Canada, from the professional level, they're going through what they're going through all the way down, and we don't know what lies ahead. But I know that we had a great team meeting last night, and our guys are resilient, and this gives us an opportunity to get healthier, to get better, and making sure. I mean, you just look ahead to that first game in 2021. I mean, that's going to happen. It's going to happen, right? And the emotion of that opening kickoff and the fireworks and everything that's going to go into that. I think if you just keep looking ahead to that, and as I told our guys, is somebody's going to have their name on that championship, that Vanier Cup in 2021, coming out of this thing. So let's keep working towards and keep our eye on the prize here and what we're working for.
Good for you. That's a very positive message. And I'll relent to producer Clark. He's got a question for you. He just says, Scott was the CFLPA president for a few years. How does he feel the CFL should be progressing with the relationships with the players? Do you have any thoughts on what's going on in the CFL right now?
In regards to what? Sorry.
With regards to what? Yeah, there's a lot going on, Clark, in regards to what? No, silence from the back room.
Yeah.
Relationships
Listen,
with
I
the
do
players.
obviously.
He said relationships with the players, formulating a plan for a return to play for the CFL.
Oh yeah, I mean, man, like I said, I actually had a call this morning with President Stoichev, with the president of our university, and just talking about those decisions that have to be made. It's hard. It's not easy. I know that the one thing, and what I see is the continuing on of building that relationship with the Player Association to the league. I think that's important. The partnership, each entity they are their own entity, right? And I think everybody's got to look out for their own interests. At the end of the day, though, it's the players that drive the bus, and they should, and they have to be a part of the process. And I think that you see that continue mending. I think there's a lot of years way back that go back to, I think there's still a lot of resentment, and maybe not resentment's the right word, but maybe mistrust along the way. And I think that the more that they can come together and build, the better off everybody's going to be. And as a general fan, as I've learned, when you're in the weeds, sometimes it's hard to kind of see your way out. But when you take a step back, and as myself not being involved with it, you get that general perspective. I think a little broader perspective, and everybody just wants to see football again. And I know that those entities are working together to put together the best plan to play and to play safely. And man, I just be hard as a fan to not be able to go witness those games, right? Because it's one thing to see pictures and see it on TV. It's another thing to physically be there. So I don't envy them, but I know they're working hard to get back because everybody just wants to see sports return.
Absolutely. Scott, great stuff, man. Appreciate it. I know you're busy. Good luck with all your endeavors here right now.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, guys. Anytime. All the best, Rod. All the best, Darren.
Same to you. Thank you. UofS Huskies head football coach Scott Flory joining us. And it is a good question. And by the way, over the last 90 days, how many times have I said, what have we learned? Are we sitting back and saying, what are we learning about everything? Here's what I'm learning. Major League Baseball owners and players hate each other. They hate each other. NHL players and owners coming together. Let's play, guys. Mm-hmm. NBA, somewhere in the middle. But they've at least agreed to play.
Some of them.
And they're playing July 31st.
Right.
So,
I mean, Kevin Durant.
He's hurt.
I know.
But with the CFL and the Players Association, we're learning so much. And I know we got to take a break, and we'll come back and just continue all this. But when my wife said, why is Korean baseball playing and nobody else is? The reason I turned to her and I said, I hope you're not expecting an answer, because I don't know. But when you think, how can they play? Why is it so hard for the CFL to come back? Korean baseball is probably playing on very modest salaries. I mean, this is a step or two below Major League Baseball. Maybe they're playing for $500 a week or $5,000 a month, which is not chump change, but it's not gouging either. It's just the CFL is just a benefit of a reset would be huge.
Yeah, it would. And you're talking
start over with modest salaries that are respectable but not dumb.
When you're looking at multiple provinces, multiple countries with players coming in, and the international players. You look at New Zealand, low cases just like ours, and they've opened up the entire place, the entire region, but they've shut the border down completely. So are we okay with that? Well, I've said this before. We could open up the whole province, but you have to lock the border down then, because as soon as we're open, everyone else can come in because we're open for business, right?
Right, and that's why, if you're real, I don't know how much people are following this. I've been spending a lot of time on the phone the last while. Like, look at the SJHL. It's a Saskatchewan league. They just had a Saskatchewan draft. If every hockey junior A body just operated within its own province, they could do it. Mm-hmm. Right? Western Hockey League, traveling province to province to province into the U.S. and up. Like, it's not easy with more American players. Right? It's just every little league has different nuances, and they're all kind of learning from each other.
Yeah.
But you would think and hope the CFL's looking at Korean baseball, and how are you guys doing it over there?
Yeah.
So anyways, we'll continue. Well, here's Tyler. The average KBO salary is $185,000. Well, you know what? That's more than the average salary in the Canadian Football League. Thanks, Tyler, for looking that up. But I guess the point is, when my wife asked the questions, that question, I'm like, man, you ask great questions. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of layers to that. Why are they playing and these other leagues can't? We'll talk about that. The poll question. I got KBO results from last night, by the way. The suspense is killing me. It's the Rod Pedersen Show, Facebook Live, Game Plus TV Network, and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.